Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. Today we're going to be making a pretty unique piece using some recycled glass from many different pieces from over the rest of the year. I do these periodically, and we had a lot of these kind of leftover pieces lately, so I thought we'd throw one together. So I hope you guys enjoy it, but let's go ahead and head to the studio. We'll go ahead and get started. So these little circular discs are what we know as or we call them cutoffs. Basically, whenever we do cane roll-ups in the studio, where we take cane, roll it up into a little cylinder, we have to do what's called a termination. So we get rid of the end of it, just a little bit of cane on the end of the roll-up. So that's basically what we're going to be using today to make a piece. I've got a bunch of them from a lot of different pieces over the year, maybe even some from years before. But we're going to lay them out just like we do canes on a little pastorelli plate. We'll smush them together, and then we'll be able to create kind of like a one-of-a-kind pattern that's kind of like a mix match of like all the different pieces we made over the last little while. So we're going to lay them out on this little ceramic plate right here to create like a little grid, and then we're going to want to slowly heat them up. So we're going to throw them in what we call a garage, and once it's in there, we'll turn it on. It'll slowly start to heat up to about 1,000 degrees, and once it's nice and preheated, we can go ahead and take it out of there and start to really heat it up to a nice temperature where it'll start to actually become molten. So we've got this in the garage. We'll go ahead and click it on, and now while that's preheating, I'm going to go ahead and set up the rest of the studio. Alright, so now we're nice and hot and we can go ahead and get to work. I usually get here about an hour and a half before my slot starts so I can prep everything, and it takes about that long for all the equipment to heat up to the correct temperatures too. So now that we're good to go, we can actually start. So we preheated all these discs to about 900 degrees, and now we can transfer them over to the glory hole so that they can actually become more molten. We want them all to be able to fuse together so it creates a nice flat plate on top of our pastorelli plate.
Having a bad one.
Yeah. No, it's literally like a vacation for my dog.
Yeah, if your dog's having a good week, it makes you feel good about it.
Yeah, of course.
You don't feel bad about going out of town or whatever.
And the best part about it is,
You'll notice that we flip the plate around a lot whenever we're heating it up, and that's because the heater, the burner, is really on one side of the glory hole. So one side heats up a little bit faster than the other side. So we want to make sure everything's nice and even heat, so we want to flip it every time that we come back out.
The kitty cat was trying to get in the way of the cane.
I told you, man, that cat was...
Our first time seeing her, A4 was wide open. Like the door was just open because it was cooling down.
yeah.
I know.
Huh? And so that means they'd always be hot. No, it's just not cold.
All right, so now you guys can see after about 4 or 5 heats, it's really starting to get hot. We got that nice red glow. Everything's going to be really sticky. It's all stuck together. So now I'm going to go ahead and make what we call a collar. So I'm going to get a small bit of glass out of the furnace. I'll come on out, and then I'm going to hold it up, let the glass fall back a little bit, and you'll see me blow a bubble through the end of it. It's going to be a really, really thin bubble. Once this bubble's formed, I can stick this back into the furnace. That thin layer of glass will kind of shed away, and then I'll have a straight shot of the tube, the blowpipe, and on the end there's basically going to be a clear ring of glass, which is what we call a collar.
I'm going to take a seat, Luke.
So what we're going to use this collar for is we're basically going to use it to roll that little roll up of all the cutoffs up into a cylinder around it. So I have a small amount of time to manipulate it so that it's just the right size to roll it up perfectly into a nice little cylinder. we use a pie divider, which takes the length of the roll-up and tells me exactly what the circumference of my collar needs to be. So I have a small amount of time to manipulate it before it cools down. We're going to make sure it's just the right size, and then once my brother Luke has this at just the right temperature, we're going to go ahead and roll it up onto the blowpipe.
You can probably... We're good. Yeah, then help me. Yeah.
All right, there we go. So now we have it all rolled up on the pipe, and we can start to close it off and try to get rid of all those gaps. These are really cool roll-ups. I enjoy doing these. I've only done a few of them, but they're always so much fun whenever we do them. You get a pattern that you really can't even imagine until it's done.
People want, dude.
To give the people what they want.
They want bubble.
I'll be like, this is my cameraman. Boo this man.
I don't know what that's from.
So now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all of the tips are touching, and we basically have a nice cylinder. But then after that, it's going to be a lot of trying to minimize all the holes in between it, so we have a nice flat surface on the outside. So from here on out, it's going to be a lot of pushing and pulling and rolling around on the marver and really trying to squeeze it and compact it.
Somebody's like,
Cracking up, I had Wade watch the whole President Bush one.
oh yeah.
President Bush and
Need them. So bad. Guys, it's not.
that type of stuff is the best, I think.
That's good, like shorts content.
Why haven't you done it as a short? Your channel thought you were going to do a snake? Especially for a short.
Yeah.
Maybe not for a long one,
cool
but
video.
for
Yeah,
shorts.
go for it. And push down. All right, you can stop. All right, you can push. All right. Yeah,
That looks good.
it does look cool.
I like it. You should make more of it.
Okay, so with that last move, we're all done compressing. We've got a nice flat surface on the outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this small bit of clear glass that Luke has on the marver right here, and I'm going to use it as a cap to kind of seal off of that little tube, right? So then we'll have a completely encapsulated bubble on the inside. So traditionally, we would just cut off the end and do a regular termination, which would create another one of these little cutoffs. But I want to maintain the pattern, so instead of doing it the traditional way, we're just going to use this little clear bit to cap it off on the end.
You can blow. Off. Really light on.
Just enjoy this.
Blow again.
A lot of breakdance right there.
Okay, so with the tip of that cut off, we basically have our pattern fully formed, everything's encapsulated, and from here on out, we're just doing some pretty basic vessel making. So we're going to make sure it's nice and smooth on the outside, we'll add another layer of glass out of the furnace, and then we'll be able to just create the vessel and make our final form.
I don't think so. I was trying to listen for... Nope, no hole. Yeah, I like it. Of course,
I want that one to be off the
kind of the moil.
oil.
Yeah. We'll be doing a strip gather.
So for anyone who doesn't know, this is our glass furnace. It's a 2,000 degree cavity that stays on 24/7, and it houses exclusively all of our clear glass. So inside there, it's basically like a big bathtub full of like 2,000 degree molten glass. So I dip my pipe in, get a little bit of clear, and this is what we call a strip gather, where I can hold it vertically and get rid of any excess glass that I don't need. You probably see me use this wooden tool quite a bit. This is called a block. It lives its entire life in water, and it's really good at manipulating the molten glass and cooling it down at the same time. Now that everything is right around the same temperature and we have that final layer of glass, we're just going to start to inflate it. So I'll use my newspaper tool, and I love using this tool. You'll see me use it quite a bit. It really helps me control where the bubble goes. And I'll have my brother, Luke, blow into the pipe, and we'll start to really inflate it.
Off. It's already starting to get bumpy. On again. Blow lightly. Off. Blow lightly. Blow hard. Off. Pull jack line. See, this one got really big.
That's good. Yeah, it kind of looks cool that it got big.
Yeah.
So we've thinned out the neck quite a bit, which is exactly what we were trying to do. And now I really want that back area where I'm hitting it with the flame to heat up, because now we're going to put in our jack line. So the tool in my hand is called the jacks, and I'm basically making a small incision right off of the tip of the pipe, which is kind of deciding exactly where we want it to break off of the piece in the end. We're going to do a transfer to a different pipe a little later in the process, and this is going to be the area where we want it to disconnect from our pipe. At this point in the process, this piece really started to fight me. You can see that part of the surface is getting kind of bumpy and a little bit blown out. That's because a lot of these different cutoffs are made in different ways with different colors, and they all interact with heat differently. Some spots heat up faster than others, some were thicker than others, so it's really fighting me at this point. So I did as much as I could, but certain things like this are just kind of difficult to manipulate because of how they're built.
Time to shake it.
Yeah, see, you don't want to do nothing, man. Off.
Probably start flattening it.
Yeah.
So the piece has all the volume we want, and so now we're going to start to establish the bottom. So my brother's going to take a wooden paddle, and he'll start to really press in to establish where the bottom of the piece is going to be. So now that it's really starting to thin out, you can really see all those colors again. You know, at 2,000 degrees, everything just looks really orange. But when things start to really cool down and hit that more like 1,500, 1,200 degree kind of mark, you can really see the colors. And we're actually going to prep for that transfer now that I was talking about before. So my brother has the pipe we're going to transfer it to in his hand. He's got a small bit of glass on the tip that's going to act as a piece of glue, and we're going to stab it onto the bottom of the piece. We'll break it off with the pipe that I have, and we'll have it transferred onto the one in his hands.
Okay.
So we have the punty stabbed on. It's right in the middle of the piece, which is exactly where you want it to be, just for symmetry. I'm going to add some water right where I want it to break off, and in a moment you'll see me lift the pipe off the rails. I'll give it a tap with my tweezers, and we should be disconnected. All right, so that went great. That was awesome. So now we just have to open up that lip to our final kind of size, and we'll have our final piece.
Making it real tall, like pulling that cone out would be kind of cool.
It kind of.
So you'll notice after this heat, things started to get a little bumpy, right? And those are the thinner sections that are just starting to fling further and further out because of centrifugal force, right? You can also see some of these little circles, the little cutoffs, are much bigger than the other ones because they were thinner or they were darker color, and so they just kind of blew up and got a lot bigger. Those are also the thinner sections in the piece.
Ooh, it's a pitcher.
Bro, I see a picture.
So sad.
What do I do? Now get back to you. Alright, that's better. We're gonna get it off of here.
Like a rhino.
All right, so this is our final shape. So now all we have to do is we'll disconnect it from our pipe, we'll transport it into a kiln to cool overnight, and then tomorrow morning we can come back and we'll be able to see what our final product looks like. And here we go. This is the final result. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I love all these circles, you know. It has such a cool kind of one-of-a-kind look to it. I love this piece, you know. It came out better than I ever thought it would. So guys, if you're interested in purchasing this piece, it is for sale. It's on my website. You can find a link to it down below in the description, either to my Etsy page or my personal website. Either one it will be listed on. And I also want to say we're starting to do live streams sometimes throughout the week. We're shooting for Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to see how long that sticks, but check out the link in our description and you'll see that there's a link to our Twitch page where you can find us going live. And thanks for hanging out with me today, everybody. You guys are the best. I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all be safe out there, and we'll catch you in the next video.